What up, y'all? It's DJ MV, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We're the Breakfast Club, and we got a special guest with us today.
Yes.
Charlamagne called him the King of Pop.
I didn't say he was the King of Pop, but he is.
Yeah,
for this era, yes.
This might be one of our biggest guests ever.
That's right. Justin Timberlake, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow, that's nice. I don't know if I deserve that, but that's,
the King of Pop?
If you guys say it, then I won't turn you down.
If you don't, who does in this era, JT? Come on now.
Are his girls bothering you that Charlamagne has?
Justin Timberlake from the South, like me. He's from Memphis.
Man.
He understands.
No, he's not at all.
Okay, just checking.
Now, the VMAs was Sunday, but we was calling it a Justin Timberlake tribute concert. It's almost like you wanted to remind people, you know, of what you've done. Was that the goal?
I don't know. I don't know if that was the goal. I think we just got excited when they, when they called and said, "Hey, we would give you the, the MJ Video Vanguard Award." I think it just became, we started brainstorming ideas on what to do, and the performance just kind of got bigger and bigger and bigger. So, halfway through the performance, I was like, why did I do this to myself? But yeah, it was really fun. It was a special night. It was really cool. It was obviously an honor to, Michael Jackson's the GOAT.
Absolutely.
So to be even mentioned in his shadow and his likeness is like it's an honor.
Now, supposedly it was your idea to actually reunite with NSYNC, that you made the phone call.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
What made you be such a great humanitarian and give back?
Well, it's the VMAs, and I feel like I was getting that award because of a culmination of awards that I had been given throughout my career, and half of those awards were with those guys.
Gotcha.
So I just thought if there was ever a time to do a send-up, that the VMAs, that this would be something nice for all of us to do.
But is that it? Are we talking tours or albums now, or that was it?
That was
NSYNC.
it. That was it.
That's like blue balls, though. That's like, because now they back in the light.
No.
And they're feeling it.
Justin Timberlake does not need an NSYNC reunion.
No, it's listen, I got my own tour to worry about, man. I have my own bills to pay.
I think they're paid. I think they're paid pretty all right now.
Did they thank you?
You'd be surprised.
Did they thank you? Like, thank you, JT, for that look.
It was really it was kind of hilarious. As we first met up, we were like, "Are we really gonna do this?" And I think we were all nervous. Like, what is this going to be? But 10 minutes into actual first rehearsal, everybody was like, Chris, your spacing's off, and so
blame it on Chris.
It was that's what we do. That is what we do. It was kind of like old times, except we were moving a lot slower.
Right. Yeah. I did read that. They said that they had to ask you can we slow this down a little bit? And
yeah.
That's one reason Jay-Z said he would never do anything with any of his old groups he was a part of, because everybody gets slower.
Yeah, I just it was just it was a time. Like, that's one thing you can't deny about that. It was a time, and we were like bigger than bubblegum, like bigger than actual bubblegum at that time, and so I just thought it would be an interesting send up, and I think it was well received. So I'm happy that we did it.
It was funny because they actually showed One Direction during y'all performance, and they was looking at y'all like, we'll never be that.
Stupid.
I have not seen them on stage, but I'd be willing to say that
they'll never be that.
that we're better than them. I'll just say that.
Absolutely.
But I don't feel like I'm like laying down any kind of gauntlet.
By telling the truth. Now, were you surprised at the welcome?
No, I like those guys. I've seen them a couple times, and I like those guys. I think it's interesting to see this whole wave of that come back around.
Yeah, Wanted, One Direction.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's really interesting.
Were you surprised at the welcome reception you had after 7 years, after a 7-year break?
I was. It's always interesting if you take that much time off. I think it was 4 or 5 years between the first and second album, but I feel like there was probably a little more like you want to get over this. You don't want to have the sophomore slump
Right.
with the second album. So this time around, it's been kind of a different experience for me. But I mean, it's been fun. I mean, the tour this summer with Jay that was like,
Yeah, how was that? How was working with Jay?
it was unbelievable. You know, and for him to kind of give me real creative license to put the show together, and to trust me with that, it was obviously, it meant a lot, and the show came together. I mean, it's the best show I've ever been a part of.
Now, I heard with the new album, I heard you're going to leave with us the record that you have with Jay-Z on the 2020 Experience Part 2. I heard you have a record with Jay-Z. I heard you have a record with Drake, and you're going to leave those 2 records with us this morning. Is that true?
Well, the people talk. Wow.
That's what I heard.
The people talk. We'd have to make a deal about leaving anything.
Okay.
we can see what that's all about.
Now, how was working with Jay? Because you guys seem like you click a lot, even in the studio.
Here's what's funny about well, that is true. There's 2 features on the second half of this, and one is Jay and one is
Let me
Drake.
tell you why I asked. The reason I asked is they did an interview one time, and you asked him to be on the record, and you said that you waited for him and he didn't do it. So at that point, I thought that you guys didn't like each other. And then I started hearing all these records coming out, and I was like, well, how did they link back up?
Actually, here's the whole story about that. I wanted to do a record with him on Future Sex Love Sounds. And he, at that time, had done a record with Beyonce called, it was Deja Vu. And he said, and respectfully, I mean, I can't knock him for saying, like, I have this one feature. I think he was working on his own music as well, so he didn't want to be on too many things. And I said, I totally respect that. I'm obviously not getting. I'm not gonna get into any like domestic anything like that's your wife, and so.
Yeah, you're not coming before the wife.
Yeah, I'm not.
Right.
Yeah. And but the record was My Love.
Oh, wow.
So we ended up, and it ended up being a interesting blessing in disguise, because I think Tip was
a better fit.
Tip for that record was I mean, his verse is phenomenal.
And at that time, T.I. was on fire.
And at that time, he had Bring 'Em Out. He had What You Know. Like he had, like it was a really interesting fit. So not to sound cliche, but it all does happen for a reason. So then the next time around, it was more like I was joking. I always joke with him. I was like, man, don't miss out this time.
He's definitely not missing out this time.
So funny enough, the record that's on, here's what you have to understand is all these songs were done at the same time, demoed at the same time a year ago. We did, Tim and I and company, Rob Knox, all group of producers, we all did, I had 2 rooms working at the same time for a month a year ago. So we did 20 to 30 songs.
Wow.
Like we were just sprinting. Really, I didn't even know how I wanted to put any type of music out. I just wanted to make music not having to worry about how to release it. And to end up with that much music, it was really, I became really excited about it. The song that's on this second half that comes out in September is actually the first song that Jay and I did together. And then Suit and Tie came out of that.
Right.
And then when I started sequencing how would I want to put these songs out, the songs that I put on the March release, I kind of thought of it more like how you would think about fashion. Is like, these are the songs I want to hear for the spring and the summer, and then the second half that comes out, are a little darker, a little, so that's how it all ended up happening. Right. So it's interesting for me to talk about. I don't look at this as a second album. I look at this as the second half of a double album.
Continuation.
It really is a part 2.
Yeah, that's what it is for me, and probably because all these songs were actually written with the other songs. But this half is probably like the older, more experienced sister.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You know, the one that can really give a blowjob.
That's the one.
Yeah, gotcha.
That's
That
the
one, right? Okay.
Yeah, you're a freshman in high school, and you like think you fell in love with that girl, so
Yeah.
you go over to her house to have dinner with her folks, and then you meet her older sister. and
Yeah,
you're like,
she's the hot one, the real hot one.
and then you're like, what the hell was I thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what made you come back and say you wanted to work with the same producers like Timberlake? Because a lot of artists will come back and they want to get with who's hot right now. What made you stick with your guy?
I mean, Tim's a legend.
Absolutely.
You know, Pharrell for that matter too. I mean, these guys are legends. I mean, and I think for me, having not been in the studio in this capacity for that long, there's a comfort level, and I will say that with Future Sex Love Sounds, I think right before that, Tim was kind of like he had took a moment where he was quiet for a minute.
He was depressed. When you left, he was depressed.
He took a moment where he was quiet for a minute.
He came over. He was depressed. He was out of it.
He did say he was depressed.
He was out of it.
And there was us doing that music together breathed such life back into him. And at that time, I think it's the best work he had ever done on a grand scale. I think obviously his work with Missy and Aaliyah and Genuine is the reason I sought him out for Cry Me a River. Or I wasn't for Cry Me a River, that's what came out of it on the first album, but we're brothers. Like, we've become such family, you know what I mean? Like, he really, his daughter calls me Uncle Justin. You know what I mean? Like, and so that's the type of bond that doesn't get broken, and I think better music comes out of that.
Would you give him a loan if he needed it? Like that kind of brotherhood? Okay.
Yeah,
You don't need
absolutely.
no loan now.
I'm pretty sure he's on.
I'm not saying he needed it. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to figure out how tight is the brotherhood. Y'all
Nah,
brothers
man,
because somebody needs some bread.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I give him the shirt off my back.
Got you.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'd rather the money out your pocket, but I feel like
he's too muscly to fit in my shirt. But if he needed it,
Now, how did you end up doing the Charlie Wilson tribute for the BET Awards?
we just got a phone call from Charlie and his people, and that was like, absolutely, I'll be there, no questions asked. So that was.
That's dope.
No
and then I called Pharrell because I think he had he's like, oh man, I got this I Am Mother thing in Italy. I was like, no you don't.
That's the Pharrell voice right there. That's the Pharrell voice.
Yeah, it's like the crooked, yeah, I was like, no you don't, man. It's Charlie Wilson, man. You have to be there. Because Pharrell has been so instrumental in reintroducing Charlie to another generation of young music lovers, and so I think and obviously having Snoop there is Snoop makes people happy
because this is what he smokes.
Yeah.
He
As
reeks
soon as he
some
walks in the
marijuana.
room, you
Marijuana
can smell
makes
that
people
and you feel
happy.
great.
like nobody's business.
Absolutely.
Every time I see him, I'm like, oh, it smells like Snoop in here. But that was a lot of fun.
Now you speak of Charlie Wilson. How have you been able to stay relevant through so many different eras? I mean, from Disney to being part of a group to solo career. Like, you take so much time in between albums, which can be very detrimental to a lot of artists nowadays. How do you keep it relevant?
I think something that you kind of touched on before, working with the same people, like the consistency of, when you look back at Aaliyah's catalog and you look at the chemistry she had with Tim and Missy, like there's something, it's a different thing probably, but that's what I have with Tim, and that's what I do have with Pharrell as well. So for me, I don't know. I've always kind of kept the same folks around me,
Gotcha.
and I think that probably speaks volumes about I think just consistency in your actual process, just with the people you keep around you. I think that tends to breed consistent whatever it is that you're making.
Gotcha.
Is there any record that you passed up that you wish, like, damn, I had that record, Tim was going to give me that record and he gave it to somebody else?
No.
Or Pharrell?
No.
Or any movie
He's like,
that you were supposed to do?
everything's worked out pretty well.
Yeah, everything worked out pretty well. Or any movie that you said, damn, I should have did that movie?
No. In the movie world, like, I had to, like, I had to fight and kick and scream and, like, I had to kick doors down. Like, until David Fincher basically co-signed for me. It's people say like, no, it's they have trouble believing you as a character because of your persona as a performer on stage, and obviously I can respect that. I get that. So I had to
wasn't easy, huh?
I had to, I did 3 auditions for The Social Network.
Wow.
3 different auditions. And if it wasn't for David Fincher and Aaron Sorkin, director and the writer saying, no, he's the guy for this part, then, I wouldn't have a movie with the Coen brothers coming out. All of that stuff kind of happens. I think after the movie world is a director's medium. It really is a director's medium. So if you just like the music world for a long time has been a producer's medium. You talk about who the record was produced by just as much as you talk about who the artist is that worked on it.
Absolutely.
Was that movie what made you decide to invest in MySpace? Like
No.
working on that and social
No.
networking?
Do you regret
No,
that?
that is kind of ironic, but no, it wasn't.
Do you regret buying MySpace?
No, I think it's been a really fun process. I mean, what I do with those guys is pitch ideas.
Got you.
Obviously I don't work at MySpace the same way the guys at MySpace work at MySpace. I pitch them ideas, and if it doesn't, if it can't, I'm like the guy who just pitches them ideas. I can't write code. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna sit and I don't have the brain capacity to do that.
Right.
That's not what I'm good at.
I got you.
Well, all right, one last question. JT, you're a very normal guy. How did you miss the curse of the child star? Because you see so many, guys now, whether it's Amanda Bynes or Britney Spears, they all seem to go down a bad path. How did you miss all of that?
I guess my folks. I guess my mother, really. I mean, growing up in the South, it's you're taught, I think, that you're just as much like the guy who lives next door to you as you are an individual. So you get both of those. You get a sense of community. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So it's like the saying in the South, like, everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time.
Yeah.
And so I think you're kind of taught that's like that you are just like your neighbor, just like your brother, your sister, your neighbor. I think that's one of those things you're taught when you're growing up in the South. I remember my mother when I was like 10 years old. She said to me, I remember it like it was yesterday. She said, "You have a really special gift." But that doesn't make you special in all the other areas of life.
Gotcha.
You still have to work at being a good person, and it's, she obviously could see the future because she just instilled in me, like, your gift comes with an actual curse. Like, you have to offset that with normalcy and everyday things. And my folks still live outside of Memphis in the house I grew up in.
Oh, wow.
So it's a different version of it now.
I'm sure.
Because,
I'm
got
sure.
that first royalty check.
Yeah, that's right.
Mama want to remodel. So it's a different, but rightfully so. I mean, that's the best thing I could ever do is like give my parents a better life, because they really did. They sacrificed. I was 10 years old when I got my first job. That is not normal. So anybody's gonna get messed up in the head having that.
All right.
So I think they're just really great people. I got lucky. I got lucky because I have great parents.
Well, we appreciate you joining us this morning.
Yeah, the label's rushing us now. I mean, God, it is Justin Timberlake. You can't just have a 5-minute combo with Justin Timberlake.
We got kind of just went deep in the morning.
Well, the album's in stores right now.
Pause
The
that,
2020
Yeah,
Experience.
that's a major pause, by the way. I'm sorry.
Deep is definitely important.
And
The
let's not
2020
forget-
Experience Part 2 comes out on the 30th, right?
30th
That's right.
September.
And don't,
September.
and don't forget, Justin Timberlake did try to jump into his jeans both legs at a time. Just to
Yeah,
prove.
I did. It did not work out.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
And they
Well,
weren't
it's the-
skinny jeans, right?
It's the Breakfast Club. It's Justin Timberlake. Good morning.